Today's podcast is brought to you by Quantrix Modeler Introductory Training, teaching the fundamental foundation that you need to become a Quantrix master. Go to quantrixauthority.com to learn more.
Show me how you do Quantrix.
Hey, welcome back to another Netcast. I'm Rich Lopez, Quantrix Authority. Fantastic that you joined me today for episode number 205, Multidimensional Modeling Power of Quantrix Modeler. This is the kind of stuff that makes me just jump for joy with Quantrix, what I'm going to show you today and what you can do. I had this question sent in to me a little while ago at YouTube, and this person has these three matrices, and what he has is he has a list of activities, and they're listed by category here, and they're kind of grouped. So some of them have these certain tasks, and there's another set of tasks under this different activity. And over here, there's also this activity assumptions matrix of when an activity needs to begin, and then some sort of curve that needs to be applied by month, by year for that activity based off of its start date. And the curves follow this criteria of having periods be across the top here, and then the percent of the curve that goes by each period. And they can all differ based off of the curve code. And what this person wants to do is, based off of the activity or the tasks listed here, they want to bring in the appropriate curve and its associated values across time. For example, here in activity B, we have this activity B. It begins in February of 2018. And they want to use curve 10 for that. So we would expect to see in February of 2018 this curve of 3.5, 4.5, 9, 14, so on and so forth, and ending at 7.5. And then after that, we want it to be blank, because indeed that is what the curve is. It is blank after that. So how can we get this to work in Quantrix, where I have some criteria here, I want to marry it to here, and I want to have it populate here? Well, it's awesome in Quantrix Modeler because you can do it, and really the technology kind of gets out of the way and it just lets you do it. It's really awesome in how you do this. So we're going to go through it. First off, what I want to do is I want to identify the month start. So I want to know when it's starting. And how I'm going to do that is I'm simply going to ask, and I'm going to say, is the start date that's listed here, is it less than or equal to the timeline date? Again, I'm busting out timeline date. That's something I always do on the Quantrix Authority. But so I have these helper cells here, and month start, I'm going to say equals, is my activity assumption start date less than or equal to timeline date? And what that's going to do is that's going to give me zeros up to this point, and then it's going to give me ones all the way after. That's excellent. Well, now what I want to do is I want to know what position I am in as far as these active months. So this is position 1, this is position 2, this is position 3. How can I do that? Well, I'm going to use the Sublist function, and I'm just going to aggregate it from the beginning of time up to the current month and year that I'm on. So again, how do I do that? I go ahead and I say my active position is equal to, let's do it right here. Active position is equal to my sum sublist. What is my list? My list is going to be month start, year, month, because I want to go across the entire range or across the entire array. And what month do I want to start with? Well, I really want to start with these because I'm just going to be adding zeros until I get up to here, and then I'm going to increment it all the way until the end of time, if you will, as far as there's ones here. So I'm going to say pound, year, month. All right. And let me see if I can get that right here. There's no active position. I'll just click on it. There we go. So you can see now that what I have is I have 1, 2, 3. I have it incrementing all the way up until the end of time, right? But what I want now is I want to bring back the curve that is associated with each one of these. So this is essentially the first period of that curve, this is the second period, this is the third period, and so on. So what I then do is I use the ValueAt function, and I'm simply going to say here that my S-curve is equal to value at, what is the list I want to bring in? Well, I want to bring in my S-curve down here, these values, so I'm just simply going to click on the category tile here, and then what value do I want to bring in? I want to bring in the value that's listed here in my active position, so I'm going to hit active, or I'm going to write active position. But one more thing is I need to make sure that I'm using the correct S-curve code here that is given here. It's not simply, if I don't have some other link going on with a using as or a select statement, then I would probably just get this first S-curve. So what I want to do is I want to link items to categories, and I want to say using this S-curve as this curve here. And the reason why I can do that is because my activities here are linked between these two matrices. And when I do that, you can see, indeed, it works beautifully. I have 3.5, 4.5, 9.0, and 12, and so on and so forth. And that is exactly what I'm getting up here, which is associated with curve number 10. If I were to go ahead and, let's just go up here to activity A for kicks and giggles, and if I were to put in a start date of, say, 4/1 of 2017, which is going to be April of 2017, you can see what happens is it's gone ahead and it's populated here in this activity A my month start of April till the end of time, and then it's given me an increment here. Now when I add my S-curve, and let's say I were to do S-curve of 10, I would count out 10 periods that match these 10 periods right here. If I were to change this curve and make it a little more dynamic, say I were to do 11, I would expect this to change to 11 and these numbers to update automatically. And indeed it does. So that is how you do some multi-dimensional modeling within Quantrix. It's absolutely fantastic that just with these three formulas, using some pretty straightforward functions, you're able to do this type of powerful modeling within Quantrix Modeler. I absolutely love this tool. I love doing stuff that I just showed you. If you have any questions about how to do any sort of complex modeling, or really any of the basics, I really do hope that you'll reach out to me at quantrixauthority@gmail.com. This is a free service that I'm providing the world because I want the world to run on Quantrix because it's the greatest tool ever. Anyway, I hope you'll join me for another episode of Quantrix Authority with Rich Lopez.